So today I'm going to talk about one of the first assignments I do with students in working on Wikipedia, which is having them review a entry to see if it meets the core content policies, which can be summed up in 3 points. One, it needs to be neutral. Two, it needs to be verifiable. And three, it basically needs to be established. Wikipedia is not a site for original research. So this is an assignment I do with the students after reviewing those 3 core content policies and after discussing the 5 pillars of Wikipedia. I ask the students to select an entry and answer the following 6 questions. I'm going to demonstrate this using the entry for Florence Owens Thompson, perhaps better known as the migrant mother of Dorothea Lange's iconic image of the Great Depression. This photograph is allowed in Wikipedia because it is taken from the Library of Congress, which is a copyright-free location. If you look in here, Wikipedia includes information on who owns an image. You cannot insert a picture into Wikipedia without doing that. That was one of our questions, so we could answer that right there from 6. So the first thing we do is to skim the article to see, is it well written? Along the way, I would be looking to see, is it verifiable and sourced? Is it broad enough? Are there questions that I'm not finding answered that should be there? Or vice versa, is there extraneous information that could be pruned? What is the tone of the article? We'll come back to point 5. Is it stable? So you can see this is actually a pretty sizable entry into Wikipedia. Along the way, I'm noticing a lot of citations. I'm also noting a lot of links to other things. Wikipedia likes when you link to other pages. This Wikipedia page takes the format of being organized into subsections, so I would look at those to see this. After the background of her life, we have the iconic photo section here. We have lots of nice quotes. This is a fascinating section on how Thompson was identified and essentially reinserted into the history of the migrant mother, which up until 1978 was an anonymous photograph. And then we have a small section on her death and what has ever happened. Here we have what's absolutely fascinating, a series of the photographs that were taken that day. Those are absolutely amazing to look at and to think about, what does this picture here represent as opposed to the photograph that has become so iconic. Why, for example, do we not have an image of a breastfeeding mother instead of this one of her looking off sort of into the distance in what has been compared to a saint-like posture, a suffering or martyred saint? Down here we can examine the references in greater detail. For its length, it has a pretty decent amount of citations. I might prefer to see more scholarly ones, but one of the interesting things about Wikipedia is that scholarly sites are not necessarily favored over other ones. And it was, in fact, a journalist who tracked down Thompson. So looking back at our questions, we've seen it looks pretty well written. It looks like it's sourced. I probably have to do a little bit more digging to look at those citations. Is it broad? Yes. In fact, some people might say that that is too long. Is the article neutral? We should go back and look. One of the most interesting things is people who are quite angry that Lange did not identify Thompson when she took the picture. Lange herself became quite famous based off this photograph, although she didn't reap a huge amount of material benefits from it. So we need to read more carefully for that. Is there any sort of criticism or tone about Lange? The final thing I'm going to show you is how to look at the talk page, because that's where we can see sort of, to look at the history page, to see how have the revisions been done, how frequently have the revisions been done. So in order to see how stable something is, we could look at minor edits, section edits, and automatic edits, or we could scroll through. Now this is a big entry and it has been around for a long time. These are just going through 2013, 2014. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of back and forth though, which is in effect the hallmark of a highly contentious or highly edited, unstable page. You could also, if you did hit on one of those pages, compare selected revisions. So here are the last two revisions, which will show you where the edits were made to, as I've said, the most controversial aspect of this image. Who should really be credited? What is this, a collaboration between the subject and the artist, or does the photographer deserve the credit? And the way that the image was in fact perhaps manipulated to remove her thumb from the lower corner of an image. As you go through, you can see where somebody fixed a typo there. It shows you precisely what has been changed. With all that information, you should be set to write a brief paragraph answering how you know whether or not this is a good Wikipedia entry.